Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the show. Now, this program is being streamed live on our Facebook page. So you can go to facebook.com/Salam Media, and you can go onto our YouTube page. Just search for Salam Media, and you'll find all of the latest video podcasts, broadcasts, videocasts, whatever you want to call them, vlogs, blogs. They're all available on our YouTube page as well. It's that time of the morning, 20 past 9, and we catch up with excellence, personal excellence mentor and coach, none other than Dr. Imraan Choonara of the Africa Muslims Agency. And this program is brought to you courtesy of Africa Muslims Agency. Today, we're talking about priority management. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Imran.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Azhar, and always great to be with you guys. Of course, it's Salam Media.
It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Priority management, talk to us about that.
Well, I think, most people try to speak about time management. There's this concept of time management, and people believe, well, I'll manage my time better. Or people say, I'm not good at time management, or I need to learn to manage my time better. Frankly, there's no such thing as time management. Let me just get into your head a little bit about this. It does not exist. Try to manage time. Show me how you manage time. You can't manage time. None of us can control time. Time does what it's going to do. Time moves on. That's exactly what time does. Time doesn't stop. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. You can't pause it. Nothing. You have zero control over time. So you cannot manage time. That's really, it's not possible. What you, however, do have the responsibility, you and I have the responsibility for managing our priorities within the time that's available. So we cannot manage the process of time. It will continue doing what it does, whether we like it or not. But what we can do, and we have a responsibility to do, is manage our priorities within that time. Now, let me explain that to you for a second. Because you see, most people, and you probably felt this way, I feel this way sometimes as well, is that, you just don't have enough time to do the stuff you want to do. There's just so much you want to do, so much you've got to do, so much demands on your time, on what you need to get done within an allocated piece of time. And we freak out and we don't know what to do with our time. So let me give you some perspective. A mentor of mine, maybe 15 years ago, 18 years ago, said to me, because I said to him, I said, look, I don't have enough time. I don't have time. And he said, listen, we all have time for what's valuable in our life. I said, yeah, no, you don't understand, man. There's a lot of things you get done. I don't have time. He said, do me a favor, for 1 week, measure what you do every 15 minutes. I said, 15 minutes? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Carry a piece of paper and a pen with you in your pocket everywhere you go. And every 15 minutes, stop and just write down what you did the last 15 minutes. Now, don't spend 15 minutes writing down what you did the last 15 minutes. It's not to the point. It's if you watch TV for the last 15 minutes, write down TV. If you, for another 15 minutes, you're still in front of the TV, write down TV again. And if you, on your phone, social media, write down social media. If you want a phone call, write down, whatever the case is. He said, after a week of doing that, and it's cumbersome to do that, of course, but after a week of doing that, you'll know exactly where your time is going. You'll know exactly how much of the time is in front of the TV, how much is sleeping, how much is eating, how much is social media, how much is on phone calls, how much is aimlessly on the internet, how much is with emails, how much is at work. You'll know exactly. You can categorize your time and say, I've spent out of my hours this week, this is where my time is gone. And he said, don't try to change anything, just measure your time. Because there's a concept, and you might want to write this down, what gets measured improves. What you can measure, you can improve. If you can't measure something, it's tough to improve because you don't know what to gauge it on. So if you measure, now you can't measure time, but you can measure what you're doing in your time. And that was his point. And I did that for a week, and it's amazing because you realize how much you are wasting. Now, because you should figure out what's going on. Now think about this for a second. First of all, we said manage your priorities within your time, right? First, you've got to figure out what are your priorities. Most of us have no idea what our priorities are. Well, we can rattle off a couple of nice, cool sounding words. We can say family, we can say work, we can say my spiritual life because it sounds cool. We can say health. We can say what we think our priorities are. But here's the fact. Here's the truth, and this is the painful truth. Where your money and your time goes shows your values and shows your priorities. So if you want to know what somebody's priorities are, they might say, my family is the most important thing in the world, and they spend so little time with their family. I'm not so sure. My spiritual life, my this, my that, whatever. Where your time goes will show up your priorities. Now, it doesn't mean you're a bad person because you're spending most of your day at work or whatever the case is. Hey, certain things need to get done. But then when the time that you are with your family, and if you're in front of the television the whole time, and you say my kids are important to me, well, I'm not so sure if they're a priority over the TV when you spend more hours on the TV than you did with your kids. So how does that work out? How can they be a priority for you? Obviously, the television show was more of a priority than your children. That's why you were there more from a time perspective. So first decide what are your priorities. Otherwise, it's not possible to manage it. Now, let me share this with you. This is important. Because how do you discover what your priorities are? Now, first of all, think about, have a diary. Have some sort of a diary. You might be an electronic person. You do everything on your phone or your iPad or whatever. Hey, man, no worries. Whether you have an electronic diary or have a physical diary where you write stuff down, have a diary. There are people who say, oh, man, I can't live by a diary. Okay, well, then your life's not going to mean much. I hate to break the news to you. If you cannot manage your priorities within the time that's available to you, because all of us have limited time. Every successful human being on the planet, and I don't mean financially successful, I mean in any area that you might admire, manages their priorities within their time. They know exactly what they're doing within their time. They don't just willy-nilly go with the flow. When someone says, I just go with the flow, I'm like, oh man, that's really dangerous. Because you don't know where the flow is going. You must decide where the flow is going. You decide how you invest your time. And let's share this with you. And if you're struggling to discover your priorities, here's a big thing that hit me right between the eyes a few years ago, and I still have to remind myself constantly. If you're struggling to figure out what your priorities are, check your value system of life. Check what you value. Let me give you my value system of life. The least valuable to me is my own comfort. The least valuable to me. Meaning I'll give up my comfort for my friends. If my friends need me, I'll give up my personal comfort to assist a friend. So friends are more valuable to me than my comfort. However, I'll even give up my friends for my own health, my spiritual, mental, emotional well-being. If my friends are negatively affecting my spiritual, mental, and physical well-being, I'll give up those friends for my health because my health is more valuable to me. But I'll give up my health for my security. If I have to sacrifice my health to be secure, I'll do that because my security, me being personally secure, is more important. But I'll give up my security for my freedom. I don't need security more than I need freedom. I need freedom more than I need security. And I'll give up my freedom for my family because my family is more important than my personal freedom. But I'll also give up my family for my faith because my faith is the most important. Now, thankfully, I'm not required to do that. But my point is, so that's my value system. So that determines my priorities. So then my priorities, I can put it into the time that's available to me, right? Let's wrap this up. Because once you have clarity on your value system, it's easier to identify your priorities, and then you take those priorities and you put it into your diary. And you may not be able to get to everything. It means like friends and comfort is low on the list of my values, right? Which means if my friends want to go out for a night on the town, and not in lockdown, obviously, but my point is if they just want to go hang out and just bum around, well, you're pretty low on the list of my value system. So I ain't just going to hang around. If we're just sitting around, bumming around, comfort, so to speak, that's very low on my value system. So if my family needed me, it's higher than my friends. If my family needed me, it's higher than my comfort. You see what I'm saying? Which means if I have to say no to something with the friends, or I have to say no to something from a comfort perspective, or I have to say no to something, it's easy to say no to it because I look where on the list of my value system it falls. And if it's lower down and something else is above that, I say no to the thing that's lower down. Because you cannot fit everything into your life. It's not possible to fit everything that everybody wants you to do. Now, this is an important point I'm going to come to now. So, you see, we talked about measuring what you're doing every 50 minutes. We talked about finding your value system. Now, time is a part of your life that you can never get back. You might lose money. You might even lose some of your health and regain your health. You might lose some money and regain money. But you'll never regain time. Never, ever. Because you don't control it. Which means you have zero control of what, when time that's lost, it's gone. So respect your own time and respect other people's time. If you get half an hour of someone's valuable time, it's half an hour of their lives they can never get back. And they gave it to you. Respect it. Respect your own time. Most people, their own time gets abused by other people because they have zero respect for their own time. If you respect your own time, others will learn to respect it as well, right? And be careful what you say about time. Don't use words like, what are you doing? I'm just killing time. I'm wasting time. Why would you say something like I'm killing time? Why would you want to kill part of your life? Because time is your life. We don't know how much of that is left. Which means don't use words like I'm killing time. Or let's kill time. Or let's waste time. Or I'm just wasting time. Why? Because you're wasting your life. That's what you really mean. I'm killing my life. So don't say stuff like that, right? And remember, so in closing, remember, how do you get to that point? You forget about time management. priority management. How do I figure out my priorities? If I'm not sure about my priorities, let me go check my value system of life. What do I value? Let's figure out what's that list. And then it's easy to say no, and don't feel bad for saying no to things that other people want you to do. If it's not resonating with your value system, because ultimately you have to go to bed at night, ultimately you're going to face your creator, ultimately you're going to be on your deathbed one day and think about, did my life get wasted away? Or did I actually focus on my value system and manage my priorities within the time that I had available?
And I think that has been a very well spent 10 minutes or so of my time. All those important points. Well done. Jazakallah khairan, Hafiz Imran.
It's a pleasure. And I tell you, one last point that came to mind now is that when you speak about investing time or spending time, even rest, because some people think, Imran, so you mean I mustn't rest? No, no, no. Even rest, sleep is good, is time well invested, by the way. It's well invested time. Don't sit on Netflix or on your YouTube till 3 o'clock in the morning. If you sleep, you decide to rest, that's well invested time because it re-energizes you to do more in your time. So even sleep and rest can be a priority, and that's important.
And that brings us to the end of our time this morning. Jazakallah khairan. Keep
Fabulous.
well. Go strong.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu
Allah
alaikum
bless you
to
guys. Assalamu rahmatullah.
Yes, that was Hafiz Imraan Choonara from the Africa Muslims Agency, personal excellence and mentor, a coach. And this program has been brought to you by the Africa Muslims Agency.